Buongiorno everyone. How are you doing today? I'm Alessandro Boga, the Italian specialist at Wilson Daniels. Today I'm very excited to speak again with Federica Mascheroni-Stianti, the second generation owner of Castello di Volpaia in Chianti Classico. Federica and I spoke several weeks ago from the estate in Chianti Classico. Today we're going to be focusing on the other estate that owned by the Mascheroni-Stianti family, Prelius in Maremma. This is actually very exciting for me because I never had the chance to visit the estate, so I'm looking forward to see some images coming from the vineyards. Let me connect with Federica now, and feel free to type your question anytime. Ciao Fede,
Ehi là, ciao Ale.
come stai? How are you?
Very good. What to say? On the seaside, so I'm enjoying the wonderful weather of the costa from Maremma.
Yeah, what's better than that, huh?
Yes, what's better than this, for
Yeah,
sure.
definitely very jealous.
Quite lucky, for sure, quite lucky to be here.
So it looks to be like a very nice, beautiful day as we got in Chianti Classico like a couple of months ago.
Yes, actually now I can say finally we have this summer because we had a June quite crazy with a lot of rain and storms, but what to say? This is the sky. So it's finally a very nice summer day, June. So hot temperature and fantastic weather. Yeah.
Yeah, we definitely see the summer coming also in New York. It's been very hot in the last few days. So
Okay.
tell us more about Prelius. I mean, everybody knows you for Volpai, of course, but Prelius is actually kind of your project that you've been put in charge since the beginning, isn't it?
Yes, since the beginning. They said, why don't you work with the family and own a winery? And I said, oh, did I plan it? So no, I'm really excited to talk to you about this tiny but really big project for me because we talk about a place that is fantastic. It's Maremma. So we took a part of Tuscany that not a lot of people know. But when you get here, you understand what it means. It's much more the wild area of the Tuscany. In Maremma, you have the seaside. So if I move a little bit the camera and I go down, you see there in the back, you see a mountain. But
Yeah.
that one is not a mountain, it is an island. So we are exactly in the front of the seaside. So there you have the sea, and the back you have a nice hilly. And so you have always a nice breeze and wind inside the vineyards. I mean, you can see from my hairs that are moving around that it's always very nice and windy here. That is very important when you're organic growing.
What's the island that you mentioned?
The island there in the front is Isola del Giglio,
Mm-hmm.
that unfortunately is well known about like a crash
Misfortunes.
of a boat.
Yes, misfortunes.
Yes.
Yes.
That one was not the best advertising for that place, but for sure it's something that I remember is a wonderful island in the middle of the Tuscany archipelago. So it's very nice this area because you have a totally different microclimate from Volpaia. So it's less than 2 hours by car from Volpaia, but it's so incredibly different. And when I was showing you, and I go back on the view down there, you see the island, but in the middle, it's difficult now to see with this tiny camera, but you see some water. That water is not the sea, but that one is the Lost Lake.
Mm-hmm.
Because before in the front of the winery, it was an enormous lake that was called Prelius during the Roman period. And so, as you can see from the label that you have next to you, we have the blue logo that reminds you the lake that was there, that slowly by slowly became smaller and smaller, and finally is only like now a wetland with a national park that the birds stopped during the migration from the north and the south of Italy.
How many wineries are in that area? In the Prelius?
It's in this area we have really different wineries A lot of them also comes from the Chianti Classico. For example, I don't know, it comes Mazzei family have a winery here, Antinori family have a winery here. So it is really a land where a lot of producers from Chianti Classico came here together and to find finally a different product and a different type of wines, but very closer to the main wine estate that usually is in the Chianti Classico.
And I always saw why like such an interest from Chianti Classico producers to invest in Maremma.
I think because, as I said, it's the weather is so different. Consider that here we pick the grape at least 2 weeks before Volpaia. So the weather is so different. So we grow totally different type of grapes. So what you have like in the next to you is a Vermentino and is a blend with international grapes like a Cabernet Sauvignon or a Merlot that are really type of grapes that likes to stay and to breathe the air of the sea. If we can consider, to give you much more an idea where Maremma is located, it's a bit souther than Bolgari. So like 1 hour by driving from Bolgari, you get to Maremma.
Yeah. So like, is the climate hotter than Bolgari?
I should say that is not so different from Bolgari. Maybe Bolgari is a bit much more hilly. You know, you have a flatter part in Bolgari and a much more hilly, like Tenuta Sette Cieli that you have in your portfolio is much more higher, but other producers are much more lower. So you have difference, and more or less is the same here in Maremma, we can say.
I see.
Yeah.
And what's the soil type?
It's basically, I tried to show you, so I can give you.
Sure, please.
It's I move a little bit down the camera, get the light, so you can see it's much more sand, not a lot of stones. A little bit of clay, but basically it's a sand. And so we have a very different way of growing of the plants. Because if you can see proportion, if I stand, you can see that the plants are really low, are next to me here. So this means that we are planting in a very different way compared to Volpaia. So in Volpaia we have, I'm sorry, I'm talking in hectares, around 5,000 plants per hectare. Here in Maremma, 9. So it's double of plants per hectare. So because we prefer to put one plant next to each other to make like a much more competition, because here the land is so powerful, so strong.
Much more fertile.
Exactly. So because of we have less stones and so much more powerful in the soil, and so we prefer in that occasion to have much more competition between the plants. You know, the grape usually needs to. I mean, the vines needs to suffer a little bit to get them to give you the best fruits. Yes.
And definitely because of the climate difference between Volpaia and here, it's a completely different situation, and they don't need to struggle as much as in Volpaia, the plants, because they're already struggling. So you don't have to, you don't need them to put one next to each other, but here is very important for the quality of the fruit. So I see.
Yeah, for sure. In Maremma, it's very famous really for the power. And, you know, it's, I don't want to, but we can say that in Maremma, it's much more like our cowboy area. It is where we have the Maremmani and the cow and all the butteri, so the people that were going on the horses, were going out with the cows. So it's been much more wild. And if you come here, you can feel it even in the nose. So the Macchia Mediterranea, so the type of the land here around, it's very unique from this place, and you can smell it really in the environment.
Do you find like the soil being a little bit saltier because of the approach to the sea?
Yes, definitely, for sure, because you know you have a nice wind that brings the air from the seaside. So for sure, some of the salinity that you can find on the glass of, I don't know, of your window of your house, after will drop also on the soil. So for sure, you have a little bit of the salinity inside the soil. And I was going up also to show you something of very typical from Maremma. That is La Sughera, so where the cork come from. So you have this type of tree, you see?
Yep.
Okay, this is cork.
Wow.
This I don't know if you can see from my hand, but this one is a piece of cork. So
Uh-huh.
sometimes they come and they cut the outside of this plant. I show you from here. Maybe you can see better.
Yes,
And
definitely.
from there you can make it the cork to make the cork of the bottles. So it is also famous for these little things. So not only Portugal is famous, but also this area is very famous for the cork.
I didn't
Just
know
a bit
that
closer.
actually.
And so you see,
What
okay,
type of
maybe like the,
what type
you can
of
see.
tree is that? Is it oak?
Sughera, sì, is it oak.
Yeah, oak.
Quercia, sì.
Yeah, quite. Yeah.
Exactly.
But those belong to you, or that's in the common area? Those two
No,
trees.
this is belongs to us.
Okay.
I'm on the age of on the diga. I don't know age. I don't remember
The
of the lake. We
yeah,
have a tiny
dam,
lake
the dam.
here.
Yeah.
The dam. Sorry. Thank you to speak Italian, so you can support
No,
me also on this. So
I'm
up
trying.
there, grazie. Up there we have our little lake because here, because of the different type of weather, we need sometimes some irrigation. So we help some a little bit the plants during the season for growing with a little bit of the water from the lake up here.
Let's see.
And
So you do
again,
100% organic farming as you do in Volpaia?
yes, definitely yes. We when we purchased the property was in the 2007, and we choose it also because of the location and the soil and the type of grapes that was growing wherever, but basically also because it was already organic, so it was much more on the philosophy of the winery that we have.
So I guess when you purchased, you changed the name as well, or it was the same. It was the same name.
No, before they were only making wine, grape, but not really.
Okay, no bottling.
No
Got it.
bottling. Yes, they were
Got it.
selling the grape, but not. They were not able to also to make the bottles of the wine.
Cool.
Yes.
And I mean, in the market, we had for several years only the Vermentino and the Cabernet, and recently you added like the little gem to the portfolio. But let's speak a little bit more about the Prile, because this is like your main wine that wants to really push from the States, and it's kind of the step up in quality and in positioning of the wines from the state.
Yes, what we have tried to do with that wine, it took a while. As you can see, the first vintage that we came out was in 2015. So for sure, it took us a little bit of time. I mean, if you consider that this wine estate we have since 2007 and we came out with 2015, it means that we had to study and to understand better what was the best from this property. So we selected the best grapes. This property is around 12 hectares, that usually in acres is more or less the double number, so around 24. And we grow Cabernet Sauvignon, we grow Merlot, Sangiovese, and the Vermentino. And obviously for this red, we choose the three reds, so the Sangiovese, the Cabernet Sauvignon, and then a 20% of Merlot to round a little bit the wine. But we have decided to number each single bottle, so there are around 8,000 bottles that
I have the
are
number
needed.
1,410.
Okay, wonderful. So you can control each bottle which number has, and so what we have decided also to put on the label the image of the place. So it is an old map that represents what was this land in the past. So it was there still a big lake, so the famous Prelius lake in the Roman period, that became Prile after. So we can say that the name Prile is an evolution of Prelius. So it has started as a Prelius, and now it is Prile, the top of the winery type of wines. and it's age each single grape separately, then blend together, age a bit longer together to find really the perfect balance between the different type of grapes.
And what's the aging?
It's around 2 years of aging in it'll be in barrique and barrel to make the perfect balance between the two type of woods. And it is a recipe that changes each year, talking about especially the aging, because really, because of this land, we prefer to see what is the weather and the temperature of the place, and then decide each time what is the best for the wine. So we don't want to have, for the moment, a fixed recipe, but we want to really read the terroir of the place. And so try to give you each single vintage. So this one is a 2015 that, you know, was a fantastic vintage in Tuscany and very powerful. And so when you open that bottle, you really find that power inside. And so a big nose. And it is a wine that is has also at the same time a nice longevity in the bottle, in the time of the aging, but also sometimes if you don't finish the bottle, I think you will, but if you don't finish the bottle, even the day after has incredibly power inside. Like today, I was in a very nice 3-star Michelin restaurant working.
Of course.
And they were telling me that each time that they want to taste a wine and decide for a wine that they want to have in their restaurant, especially obviously for by the glass, they keep the wine for at least 24 hours open to see how also is the life of the wine inside the bottle, because it's important, and you can understand even more the structure of the wine if it has a longer life after you open the bottle.
Yeah, no, the wine is great. It's very opulent, to what you were saying, and we couldn't find a better vintage to launch it to the US market with a 15, which was incredibly showing well. So it's a great plus for us to have this vintage, and we're gonna get the 16 also soon. How was the 16?
Yeah. But for the Italian, we love the 16, even better than the 15. We think the 16. Yeah, okay. I think the 16 has an incredible elegance. I mean, the 15 is if I can say, I don't want to be rude with women, but it's like a woman with a shirt that is a bit too open. It's showing a bit too much. And the 16 is much more an elegant woman that you don't see very much, but you can imagine a lot. So give a much more idea and fantasy in your wine. Woman and a man, actually, at the same time.
Yeah, definitely.
Yes.
Yes. So let's now speak about the Vermentino, because Vermentino is a very important grape for Tuscany, which is probably the most planted wine variety in Tuscany, or one of the most planted wine varieties in Tuscany.
For sure in Maremma. So in this area, for sure, is one of the most popular, and it's getting more and more popular now. Now we are going to do even here in Maremma a Grand Prix. So it means that we will bring all the Vermentino from Maremma, make a blind tasting with around 10 specialists that will taste it, and we'll select the 10 best, so the 10 best Vermentino, and make like a tour around with that 10 best Vermentino, so crossing the finger that our Vermentino will get in that 10 best. And so be able to show outside what is the Vermentino. So, you know, Vermentino is a type of grapes that usually really needs to breathe the salinity and the air of the seaside.
Yeah.
So it is a grape that usually grows in Liguria, so in the north side, west side of Italy, or in Sardinia, so the island in the middle of the Mediterranean, or in Tuscany on the seaside. So it is this grapes that really loves to have that salinity, but it's also a very aromatic grape. So if you eat, I don't know, a Cabernet Sauvignon from the plant, don't really enjoy because you have a thick skin, the seeds are big, they are juicy, but not wonderful. It's not like a table grape. But if you bite a Vermentino, it's fantastic. It's very delicate, it's very aromatic, but at the same time, that delicate skin and that delicate type of grapes will make a very delicate process at the moment that you pick the grape, that you ferment it in a very delicate way. And so it is incredibly aromatic from one side, but at the same time, as you said before, you have the minerality of the seaside. So that salinity goes in the soil, and then you can find inside the glass. So you have aromas, very floral, but at the same time, you have a nice mineral that in the mouth, especially at the end when you swallow. So if I would think about these two wines, on a Vermentino, even drink it by itself, because it's so easy drinking and so easy type of wine. But at the same time, if you have, I don't know, raw fish or like raw vegetables, it's perfect because it's so light and so perfectly paired with all of these. And when you think about Prile, for sure, if you have a nice meal or a nice piece of meat, and that it would be the perfect pairing, and so like a balance between the tannin, the structure, and the power, and the type of the wine.
Yeah, no, for sure. And then with the Cabernet, the straight Cabernet.
Yes. It's very different, this Cabernet, compared to the Cabernet that probably mostly the people from URS are used to find, I don't know, from California or other parts. Because this Cabernet comes from this land, so you read the land in the wine. So it is a Cabernet Sauvignon, very easy to be recognized in the nose. But at the same time, you have the earthiness, so the structure of Italy inside. So it's like a bridge for who doesn't know very much about Italian wines. So a grape that you know, and then you can get like a insider to the Italian flavors. And actually, I'm working in the Cabernet Sauvignon vineyard, as you can see from these leaves. Usually the Cabernet has this type. One second, I try to find my finger. Okay, I found it. Okay, so this type of lobo. It's a classic type of the leaves of the Cabernet Sauvignon. So
I see.
Exactly in the middle of the Cabernet Sauvignon vineyard.
And the Sangiovese that goes into the Prile, you use it also in part for the Citto, or there was only for the Prile?
Usually, it depends about the vintage, but for sure in the past we have used it mostly for also for the Citto. Now, yes, so we use more, we can say, the Sangiovese from Volpaia and the Cabernet from Prelius. Usually is the balance much more that one, but depends about the vintage.
Right.
You know, each vintage we have to see how the grapes are have been harvest and how is the ripeness, and then we can decide what's going to be one grape that has to be in the Citto or in Prile. So a big difference, if you can see.
Yeah.
Sangiovese goes in Prile, in the top level, or in the Citto. That is very different, the point price. Yes.
Right.
So a lot of selection in the vineyards for sure.
Yeah. Anything else you want to add? I mean, it's a great property. I'm really looking forward to come visit. Actually, you just built the winery there, right? You now have a facility that you can visit, correct?
Not yet. We have all the projects, but then also, I mean, we are still thinking on building really a facility down here, because we prefer to keep our staff that knows very well our wines in the same place. and to have the wines all together in Volpaia. So for the moment, we prefer to pick the grape in the night here. So in the night when it's much cooler, so it goes down the temperature, we pick the grape of Maremma wines, and then in the early morning we bring it up to Volpaia. So less than 2 hours and the grape are in the cellar. So if we think about Volpaia, that the vineyards are a couple of minutes from the winery, it's far away. But if you think to any other temperature here changes, goes a little bit down, so it's important to don't bring the grape too hot inside the cellar, and so to make a slower moment of the starting of the fermentation. Sorry, 1 second, I have an animal. Well, you see, this is the wild part of Tuscany. Botton d'oro.
Well, this shows how much lively is your vineyard.
Yes, for sure.
Yeah,
I don't know the
which is good. I
translation
mean, because of
in English.
right, because of all the organic
Yes, for
farming,
sure
like you have a lot of bugs, and
Yeah,
it shows the vineyard is very alive. So
yes, for sure. That one was an alive one.
I've read recently, I think a few days ago, there came out an article about how Maremma Toscana is actually becoming such a more and more present. The DOC, Maremma Toscana, kind of a bigger,
Yes.
important appellation for Tuscany.
Yes, you know, the DOC from Maremma Toscana, it's quite recent. I think it has been created in the 2010. So it's not really a long time that is before it was an IGT, Maremma Toscana. So the rules are a bit changing in the last few years, but at the same time, it's outside, it's more and more known. And because it's a bigger area, actually Maremma area included inside other DOC. Like, for example, Morellino di Cansano, that somebody knows outside, is the Sangiovese from Maremma. So it's nice because you have different aspects inside this DOC with different type of grapes growing. So if you go on the seaside, like we are, you have much more like international grapes, and for sure the Vermentino. And if you go much more inland, you have much more like a Sangiovese grape growing.
Yeah.
So it's a bit different, the structure.
Right. Well, it's beautiful to see the diversity of your wines. You know, you go from Volpaia making very classic wines, and then you come to Maremma making kind of more, let's say, opulent wines, and totally different approach, and also very different grapes. So it is great to have all these different kind of selection to work with your family does. So it's great to see that. Plus, we can also mention your other project of the family that it's quite a little farther away from either Volpaia and Prelius, the Nica, which we carry now, the Passito di Pantelleria, from made in the tiny island of Pantelleria in the south of Sicily. It actually is even closer to Morocco than Sicily. Is that correct?
Exactly.
Yeah.
It's even closer to Africa, Morocco, than Italy. So, and you know, Bentelleria, the name actually in Arabic means it's Bentelleria.
Yeah.
That means Pantelleria means Bentelleria. That means daughter of the wind.
Yeah.
Because here you see it's windy, but it's very delicate, the type of the wind.
Yeah.
There, it's very different. It's very strong, the wind. So the type of growing of the plants even different than this one. So here we have, you see, low and very close one to each other, the plants of the vineyard. There, instead of lines like here, we have the alberello, so the little tree. So we have a little tree that grows
bush vine,
in the land.
very small bush vine. Yeah.
Esatto, and it is like even in a hole in the soil. So to be able that during the night you have a lot of humidity on the plant, on the leaves. So the leaves will get the water on top, and then during the morning the water on the top of the leaves will drop down and get in the small hole where the little bush vines grow, and so can get like a natural irrigation to the plant. And this little bush vines, it's very important because lower in the dimension means that you have less surface to the wind, and so it's much better for the growing of the grape. That otherwise it could suffer a bit too much. And there, the type of the grape is the Zibibbo. That it's a very, very aromatic type of grapes, and it's very incredibly different from anything else we can say.
Absolutely.
Yes, and also the way of making the passito.
Yeah, I mean, the Zibibbo is Muscat of Alexandria, which is part of the family of Muscat. It's extremely floral, and it's because of the passito style. Also, it's very rich. So plus, it's very hot down there, so the wine gets a lot of like caramel, honey, chamomile, apricot, dried apricot. But it's beautiful.
Yes. And you know what? When you think about Sicily, you think always to the orange. And what I love on that passito is the blossom flowers of the orange that comes out in the nose of that passito. That is really exciting.
Yeah. Absolutely.
Yeah. Yes.
Yeah.
That is the opposite, we can say, of the Vermentino, where you have much more like the yellow fruits that comes out. So it is very different in the flavors compare. You still have a nice aromatic, but it's a totally different type of wine. And one is enjoyable with the dessert as a passito, and the other one is with the aperitivo. So the beginning and the end of the meal.
Yes, exactly. Yeah.
Yeah.
Let's talk about some typical dishes that you would pair these wines with, mostly for Maremma. The other time we give some other like Tuscan dishes, like more of the Chianti Classico area, but of course Maremma, there's a lot of fish. You guys are really close to water, so what do you suggest?
So I tried to show you what I see in the back. So down there, where the hill hand, you have Castiglione della Pescaia. So that it is the little village next to this winery, and that little village, for you that you are Italian, sound immediately. Castiglione della Pescaia means a place where you were fishing, because fishing è pescare in Italian. So for sure the fish is the base of the alimentation of this area. So Vermentino with fish is the best type of pairing that you can have. But at the same time, as I mentioned before, if you have like vegetables or raw vegetables, it's really good because it's very light, and so it's perfect.
And also, I love your Cabernet to chill in the summertime, like now, and have a little chilled, and can easily pair also with not traditional dishes that go with red wine. So.
Yes, it is nice because Tuscan wines are really food wines. So it only depends about the season. So you have to consider this wine and on the concept of the season. So for sure, in the summer you will think more on the Vermentino. But as you said, if you chill it down a bit, the temperature of a red wine like the Cabernet Sauvignon that has that nice sweetness, we can say almost when it gets in the mouth. But then you have the tannins and the acidity. It's perfect to be paired even with some vegetable stewed or even come si chiama? Put in the pot with oil and some garlic and for a few minutes, and then eat it, and that's fantastic.
Yeah.
At the same time, if you think about a steak, it could be even better. Maybe.
Yeah, for the steak, I'll definitely go for the Prelius. Prelius got much more structure and tannins, and it's more mouth coating for definitely the steak. And this is a wine that it's a killer for that kind of food. So
Yes, that one for sure. Here we have, we don't have really a specific type of food, or we have so specifically that you cannot find it in any other place. Like, oh, l'acqua cotta. Sì, l'acqua cotta. That is very complicated, but it's
yeah,
like
this sounds
again,
complicated.
yeah, it's but it's at the same time it's as always made with very poor type of food. So pane, so the bread, the local bread, and salt again, tomato. So it's very easy, but at the same time complicated as always here in Tuscany.
Yeah.
So it can be paired for sure also with that one. And then, you know, we have a lot of wild animals in this area. So the cinghiale, so the wild boar, it's for sure, it's a part of every day that you can find all around. So we have to fence all the vineyards to be protected because they love the grapes. And so the wild boar, they eat my grape, I eat them.
I wish boar was so available as much as it is in Tuscany here, because I've been trying to get some to make some beautiful pappardelle al ragù di cinghiale, but it's not easy. So we have to bring them some more from Tuscany.
If you want, we can bring you as much as you want.
Yes, yes.
Yeah, we have a lot of deers and a lot of wild boars. So yes, for sure.
Is that a problem though in Maremma? I know it is in Chianti Classico, but it is a problem in Maremma? They do damage as well?
Yes.
Wow, so it's everywhere.
Yes, this is the point that we fence all the property, but every week, at least every two, especially when we get next to the season of the picking, we have to go all around to control because they dig below the fence and they are able to get in. Even if you put electricity all around, no way. They find a solution to get in and to find a way to get to the grape. So at the moment that they get inside the winery, that is complicated because you have to ask them to get out, and it's not very easy to help them on that.
Once they're in and not able to go out, is even worse. They create even more damage.
So you have to really to be safe that they don't get in, because otherwise it can be very complicated.
Okay, well, we'll just have to eat more boar.
Yes.
Okay, I mean, I think we've been covering pretty much everything about Prelius. Is there anything else you want to add?
I don't know. It's for sure I want to invite all of you to come here because at the moment that you come in Maremma, you understand better the place. Because the first time I came here, they were telling me, because Maremma is so powerful, it's so everything bigger. I said, okay, it's as every other place. And then I realized that everything is so bigger, it's so powerful, it's so incredible. And so that power is what you find after inside the glass of the wine. That is the Maremma style for sure.
Well, I'm really looking forward to come visit you in Maremma. As you know, I've never been there, and I was supposed to come actually in September, but of course, this has been postponed to next year. So looking forward to that, but definitely.
Yes, we hope soon this moment will end for everybody, because it's difficult for all over the world, and this is not nice. It's like we want to be able again to meet the friends from all over the world.
But I'm sure that at Volpaio you start seeing some people come to visit, correct?
Yes, finally, yes. Mostly are obviously from Italy, but we have somebody from Europe that now is coming too. So not yet from all over the world as it was before, but it's something that the normality slowly by slowly is coming back. But we have to keep safe and keep really control. So I've been out all the day, but all the time washing your hands and keep your mask and everything else. Luckily when you work, sorry.
No, go ahead.
No, luckily when you work in the vineyards, you still have enough space between one line to the other one, so you don't need to cover your face, and you can work with your we can say friends, your other people that are working with you, and it's still a safe area because you have this wind that brings out all the stuff that you can breathe, but it's still difficult.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much, Fede. This was very good. First time that we get a glance of your vineyards in Prelius, like on a major scale. I saw it only through pictures before, so it was very educational. Thank you so much for your time. I know you have to drive back to Volpaia now. How long is it going to take you? 3 hours?
No, less than 2, so it's very easy. No, I hope, but I have a problem with the car. So
yeah, make sure to stop by somewhere to check the car. Otherwise, I don't want to be responsible for you being stranded in the middle of Tuscany. I don't know. I have no idea how to get out of it. So,
can I call you if I have a problem?
Yes, exactly. Don't make me go sleep tonight, please. Don't worry. And dream. Okay, thank you so much for everybody to everybody for following us. And if you have any follow-up questions, you can reach out to Fede at Castello di Volpaia. I mean, there's no account for Prelius, but Fede is and Castello di Volpaia is also our personal account, or you can reach out to us at Wilson Daniels.
Yes.
Have a great day, everyone.
Thank you very much.
Have a great day to you, and we'll speak soon.
For sure. Thank you
Happy
very much.
Summer.
Ciao.
Ciao.
You too. Ciao, Ale.
Ciao, ciao.
Thank you to all of you to be here. Ciao. Ciao, ciao.